Thanks. This is where I belong, clearly. This is, nope, I can't do it. Yeah. On the road again we go. Just got this thing picked up. Got them things on there, boy. Guys, so I'm going out for my very first cruise with the new Coilovers. So for those of you who don't know, Clifford went up to see my buddy Richard with Atomic Fab to get a set of fresh Coilovers put on the front end. And this is my first drive with this, or my first drive with those, as well as the Downpipe that he made me, that he totally surprised me with. I had no idea about. So beyond pumped for both of those. I'm just gonna take this thing for a lap around the neighborhood, and we'll get her on back and we'll show you what we got. So first things first, let's check out this downpipe. Look, no fender exit. And another thing Richard did, hooked me up with this solid right here. Take this guy, put him in there, voila. No more hood prop. But check that out. Got it going on, son. But the biggest thing that you are all here to see is the coilovers. By getting this wheel off, since I know that's all you guys care about anyway, is what's back there.
Never mind me, I broke another part. Another part is broken. Something else has to be fixed. What's new? Now all we care about is the new part. Yeah, isn't it?
That one was torqued. Alright, well here's what you're all been waiting for. Boom! So yep, that's hers. That's the fancy coilover brackets we made. Look at that one. That one's fancy too. Oh wait. It's almost like those are just the factory mounts with some spacers and a little trimming. Weird. So if you were expecting some big reveal, some fancy contraption that we came up with, blah, 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 this is where we're at with this thing. This is basically what Richard decided after testing some things, looking at some things, studying it, blah, 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 in and out of the freezing cold. The great freeze of 2021 affected the progress of this situation a lot. And I can't thank Richard enough for literally sitting outside like a sheet of ice to get working on this thing. Basically, long story short, we looked at it a whole lot and figured that at least in my application for a street truck that's not towing, I'm not jumping the thing, we're going to try the stock brackets. Now, he wants me to keep an eye on a couple of things, but he feels like there's genuinely enough material both up top and down below to support the weight of the truck. It's significantly lighter than most trucks that he's dealt with, and some of the material that is used on other vehicles of even more weight than this truck is thinner than what we have here. The biggest area of concern on this thing is the lower mount. So when I say that this is the biggest area of concern, I don't really mean that it's concerning. This is just the thinnest material in the system. This is welded here, it's welded on the back, it's welded over there, and GM does it like that way when they built it in 1995. The top, this is a lot of material. This is thick. Richard has very high confidence in what's going on up there. It is this area that he feels like, if, not even that there's likely, not even that there's probably, not even that I should worry, but he feels like if there was an area to be concerned, it would be around these mounts, and in which case we could simply lop this off, put on your basic four-wheel drive shop weld on bracket, and be back in business, no problems. I believe that we ended up running with 650 springs. He started with these are what his gut expectation told him to put on the truck, and when we were jacking up via the ball joint down here, it didn't quite sit right, it wouldn't smush the spring, blah, 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 blah. And well, we ended up trying like 3 different combos of springs. We tried from 650s to 850s back down to 550s before we ultimately settled on the 650s that we started with. And I think that these are going to be pretty good. I brought the other springs with me just in case I wanted to make a change. But no, I'm with Richard. I think he's the expert, the subject matter expert on this stuff, and we're going to run exactly what he says to put on it, which are the 650s. So since these are the same exact Viking shocks that we started with that I've had on the truck for about a year now, we didn't really make any changes to the overall travel of the truck. The tire can only go up so high, and it can still only droop until the shock runs out. So ultimately, what that means is that as long as I put a bunch of torture test miles on these things and nothing seems to be wearing inappropriately or nothing seems to be going wrong, no adverse effects, what you're going to be buying from Richard is the shocks, the hardware kit involved, and then the appropriate length the first time around. No questions asked, no guessing, no measuring. Basically, you just telling what your ride height is when you measure from the center of the wheel up to the fender when it's on the ground, obviously, not jacked up. And then he will get you all set up. If we determine that there needs to be additional brackets and stuff going on, well, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. But, you know, Richard spent most of the time, since the brackets involved are non-existent, he spent most of the time doing math and figuring out all this stuff through all the points of available travel that a stock suspension gives you, so that way, if these things determine to be a viable option for you guys, you'll be able to buy them directly from him, bolt them on, and be ready to rock. No questions asked. Make some changes to ride height. We did not toot it up like you see here. You know, obviously we're on jack stands. But what we did is we actually raised the height about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch on the travel there. And that was just because he didn't like how steep my CV angles were. And then, of course, the last trip out with the truck, we broke one. So Richard wanted to go up a little bit on the ride height in the front, like I said, because of the CV axle, which is totally fine with me. He's the expert. He is the OG. He has done this. He has gone faster than I have. He has gone faster than most of you have. He's gone faster than most of us will go. So when he says it needs more ride height, we give it more ride height, which is totally fine, because if you remember, a few videos ago, I mentioned about wanting to put some different shackles on the rear to get a little bit more rear ride height and a little bit specifically, a little bit more rear travel. Not necessarily ride height, because I like the look, I like the way it sits, blah, blah, blah. But I needed a little bit more travel out of the shocks that I have. So he wanted to go up in the front. Perfect. I need to go up in the rear. We're going to get this thing sitting right, launching good, and racing fast. Let's go. Oh, we got us a leaker. Of course, Clifford can't do nothing cool without taking out a few parts in the process. I am 110% Florida man. And when this thing went up to see Richard, it was like, I don't know, mid-50s. Well, it got down into like the single digits in Huntsville, and I obviously didn't get all the water out of my intercooler and caused it to crack. So you can see it all through here. The welds are just split wide open. So first things first is I gotta get this thing pulled out so that way I can inspect whether it's just that weld, whether I can just bead that up and get this thing back running in the condition it is. This is something, an intercooler is something I've wanted to upgrade for a long time. This one has been like adequate for me at best now that we've turned the boost up. But for now, we got to get this thing pulled out, like I said, and inspected to see exactly how much damage we have. I can't wrestle this intercooler out of here. It's in here pretty snug and it's pretty heavy, but I got everything loose. Now if I can just wiggle it out. Got it. So there she is. This is the old El Cheapo China stuff I picked up from my buddy a long time ago. But that's where she's split. She's good and cracked. And now, I'm hoping that this can just be welded up and I can readjust the whole intercooler situation later when I have more time, money, and effort, and not a race coming up like I do now. But I'm not sure if the core inside is cracked, which would mean there's water down in there. Because if there's water in there, then clearly I can't run it. Yeah, oh yeah. Look, there's some in there. Come on, focus, you turd. Yep, so there's water in there. So that means when I start running this pump, and there's more water in here now that obviously hasn't leaked out over a 5-hour drive and a couple of days of it sitting there, then the thing's gonna be full of water and I can't suck up multiple gallons of water through the truck. So it's like we talked about. We got cracked parts, we got coilovers, and we got cool noises. This thing is sweet. Richard says, I'm not much of a stainless welder. Come on, man. That's freaking beautiful. I think the only thing left to do is to get this off to my buddy Fastlane and get him to polish this thing. He don't know it yet, but he's going to be polishing this up for me. Richard tells me to wrap it, but dang, man, when this thing's all polished up and turns a little bit of gold, I don't think I'm going to want to, because that thing is sweet. So glad that don't have this guy here anymore. So for all you guys kicking me out of classes, suck it, nerds. So you guys just really have no idea how pumped I am about having that, about having the ability to now extend on from there to have a legitimate full exhaust past the driver and stuff. So that way, it, one, it makes it more cruisable, more streetable, but two, it legitimately makes people where they cannot kick me out of classes for that stupid hole in the fender anymore, even though it made a marginal difference in performance. Yeah. It's a non-issue in reality, but, people will find anything they can pick on. And the best part about it is that it was a total surprise to me. Richard had never told me he was doing that, didn't clue me in at all, didn't send any pictures, no nothing. So I cannot thank him enough. So essentially, since the coilover deal turned out to be significantly easier than either of us expected and much beyond what we were hoping, he decided to make the drive, the 5-hour drive that I had to make twice. He decided to make that up to me and surprise me with that downpipe. So like I said, I cannot appreciate that enough. Beyond pumped to have that. But for those of you who are still here, this is your reward for sticking around and watching the tail end of the video, because I'm about to drop some pretty epic news on you guys. It was something that I wasn't quite ready to drop. There's been some breadcrumbs leading up to it. A lot of you have put 2 and 2 together. But as a reward for all of you who stick around to the tail end of videos and watch the whole things front to back, you guys are getting a huge, and I mean huge clue as to what's going on with the new truck. Let's go take a look. Out here in my shed, and yeah, that's not a GM trans, and GM never put an oil filter on the front, and GM never had big old wide valve covers, and oh my god, that's a Coyote. There's a Coyote in my shed, guys. What the what? So, yep, you guys guessed it. The new truck, a few of you guessed it anyway, the new truck is getting a Coyote. This is a Gen 1 F-150 motor. I wanted a Gen 2, but you know what? When deals come up that you can't pass up, you go ahead and scoop them up. So, I got a Gen 1 Coyote here. I've got a 6R80. Obviously, it's going to be 4-wheel drive. Got the transfer case over there. But yes, the new truck is getting a Coyote. So I know a lot of you guys are going to be, oh my God, why would you do that? Why would you do that? A lot of you guys are going to be, no, I nailed it, called it, you knew it ahead of time. And then some of you guys are going to think it's dumb and you're going to be pissed. Well, you're all kind of right. So to answer the first question, why would I do it? Well, why not? Everyone has done an LS like this. I mean, this is super common anymore. This is, I like to just do things and do things differently. And, I picked up the new truck, and originally the ball started rolling towards an LS. I had a bunch of extra parts. I knew that the Holly would be plug and play, but what I would end up with is 2 nearly identical trucks that would do just about the same thing, and that's not where I wanted this to be. I wanted to have 2 affordable, drivable trucks that could do things, but I wanted to do it better. I wanted to take what I applied, or what I've learned with Clifford, and apply it to the new truck to start with. But I didn't want to just be a copycat in a new chassis. I wanted to do something different, something that pushes me a little bit. And well, I mean, I am just straight up a fan of horsepower. I do not care if it comes from whatever your type of engine there is. I want like oil pressure in and horsepower out, and that's that. And so, what else do you do besides put a Coyote in a GM? And that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. If you don't like it, get pissed. If you do like it, share this video. So, I mean, I think it's going to be pretty hilarious to see the reactions whenever this becomes actually mainstream. So I would ask that maybe you guys don't comment yet, because we don't want to tip everyone else off that's late to the party, the guys who don't stick around through the end of these videos like you do. This is literally, like I said, your reward, your preemptive discovery to what I have in store. So don't tell everybody else yet. You can, just share it nonchalant. Just drop some breadcrumbs for people to see who's invested in this program, who's invested in the channel, who's invested in seeing what I'm doing as much as you are. So that's that. Coyote truck coming up. Clifford's back. It's got coilovers, cracked parts, and cool noises. And, that's that. We're going to get this thing fixed. We're going to get it taken apart. We're going to keep digging like always. And until next time, we'll see you later.